Once upon a time, in a peaceful village surrounded by tall trees and golden fields, there lived a tortoise named Mbeku. Everyone called him wise, but the truth was, Mbeku was not truly wise. He was only clever. One day, the king gathered the entire village and made an announcement. "Whoever brings me the greatest wisdom in 7 days," he said, "will become my royal advisor." The villagers were excited. Everyone began to think deeply. But Mbeku had a different plan. "I will not learn wisdom," he said to himself. "I will collect it." That very night, he set off into the forest. First, he met an old owl. "Owl," Mbeku said, "give me your wisdom." The owl replied, "Wisdom comes from patience." Mbeku quickly wrote it down and left. Next, he went to the river and spoke to a fish. "Teach me wisdom," he said. The fish replied, "Wisdom flows with change." Again, Mbeku wrote it down and moved on. Finally, he climbed a hill and met a great baobab tree. "Give me wisdom," he demanded. The tree answered, "Wisdom grows with time." Mbeku smiled proudly and wrote it down. After 7 days, he returned to the village with many leaves full of wise sayings. On the final day, the villagers gathered before the king. One by one, people spoke from their experiences, simple words, but full of meaning. Then it was Mbeku's turn. He stepped forward proudly and began to read. Patience, change, time. His words sounded beautiful, but something was missing. The village fell silent. The king frowned. Then he called a young farmer forward. "What is wisdom?" the king asked. The farmer bowed and said, "Wisdom is knowing when to plant, when to wait, and when to harvest, because I have lived it." The crowd nodded. The king turned to Mbeku and said, "You gathered words, but you did not understand them." At that moment, Mbeku felt ashamed. For the first time, he realized his mistake. He had wanted wisdom without the journey. So Mbeku returned to the forest, but this time, he did not ask for wisdom. He stayed with the owl and learned patience. He watched the river and learned change. He rested beneath the baobab tree and learned time. Seasons passed, and slowly, Mbeku became truly wise. Years later, villagers came to him for advice, and this time, when he spoke, his words had meaning, because they came from experience. And so, the story teaches us, wisdom cannot be borrowed, it must be lived.